We are Grok Talk, coming to you from Concord, New Hampshire, almost every Saturday.
Snowy.
Snowy today, yes, very snowy. We haven't had a lot of snow this winter. I was warned that come January, February, we would start to see a lot of snow, and it appears that we are.
Yeah, thank you, Joe DeLeo.
Our car is covered with snow. Cars are covered with snow. It's beautiful. Hey, let it snow. Let it snow.
Yeah, pretty soon it'll be, please don't let me slide. Please don't let me slide.
Thanks to the bloggers at granitegrok.com and, of course, the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. And you should be listening to us right now anyway, because on the line for our education, New Hampshire education, I got to find a name for this segment. Doesn't matter what we call it. Jorge Mesa-Tejada is on the line to talk to us about education in New Hampshire. Good morning, Jorge. Let me try that again. Good morning, Jorge.
Good morning. How are you?
There you go. Sorry, I had an extra button down and I couldn't hear you. So let's get right to it, sir. What's new and different and exciting, and what are we talking about this morning?
Oh, okay. I figured that since we're about to enter into the session season, it would be good to talk about how a taxpayer can understand school budget.
Oh, cool.
How do you think about that? Okay.
Go for it.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because when you walk into that meeting, you're handed out a stack of paper. There are charts, there are PowerPoints, there are all kinds of budget pages. And you say, what the heck do I do with this? What is significant? So what I would like to do today is try to give some guidance to the people as to how to cut through all that fog. And simply, all that you need to know that you're interested in is the bottom line of the budget. How much is the budget is going to be? And that appears in the last page of all the numbers. And then you have a column that will say previous year's budget, proposed budget, spent today, et cetera, et cetera. All you're concerned with is the proposed budget for next year. In the case of Hampstead, for instance, this year is going to be $24,393,000. Okay, and so you take that number. That's the gross budget. And you change it. Yes, you can. But the problem is not, at this point, whether you can change individual accounts. You can only go with the bottom line. Only the school board can change that. Then you take that number, go to the very last page of that package of paper where it says revenue or anticipated revenue, where they list the local revenue, state revenue, and federal revenue that is expected for the next year. And you look at the bottom numbers. One line will say total income, which is the sum of all those expected revenues. In the case of Hampstead, it's $5,623,000. Then you subtract. You see that the next line says district assessment. That is the difference between the proposed budget, which is $24 million minus $5 million, and it gives you $18,770,000. That's the amount of money that is going to be raised through taxes. That's the amount that concerns you. So, to say it again, you take the total proposed budget, $24,393,000, to subtract from it the anticipated total income, $5,623,000, and the remainder, district assessment, is the amount of money that has to be raised through taxes. Okay, so now you have the amount of money that the school board is asking for you to pay next year, $18,770,000. And the next step, of course, is how much is that in taxes? How much is that going to affect me? Excuse me. And that's very easy. You go to your town report, to your last town report, and usually, in the case of Hampstead's page, usually done 15 or 17, you find a page that is titled 2014 tax rate calculation. And at the bottom of the page, and that page is what DRA gives the town. And at the very bottom of the page, the last line and the net assessed valuation, it says all other taxes. In the case of Hampstead, the total valuation is $1,009,548,771. Drop off the last three digits, and that tells you That's divided by 1,000. That tells you that $1 in the tax rate will raise 1,009,548. Mm-hmm. So now you take that and divide 18,770,000 by 1,009,000, and you find out that the approximate tax rate will be 1877.
I think what every town needs is a Jorge Mesa-Tejada.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Jorge is a wealth of knowledge about lots of stuff. He was our mentor when we started Granite Rock and on the budget committee and taught us lots of stuff.
You're absolutely right. We need more people to teach the taxpayers how to understand that whole slew of numbers.
Well, yeah, I think
because otherwise they can. And then the question always comes up: well, why do we even vote? We cannot change any line item. You want to add something, and they said you cannot. So you can make a global decrease or increase. I vote to amend the bottom line by $200 million and add that to the budget. And if it passes, that's it. But you cannot say what that's for. Mm-hmm. So I hope the taxpayers keep that in mind. So as a taxpayer, accept your fate. It is what the school board says down there. Now you voted yes or no, and that's all the power you have in terms of money. Now
the budget, or in the case of like the Timberlane School District, the superintendent allocate the resources however the hell they feel like, it seems.
Yes, it is. It is because it's a regional cooperative school district. Mm-hmm. So what happens is you have 4 towns, and what they do is that they distribute the bottom line based on average daily attendance. And one of the things that is happening in Timberlane is they're trying to change that to also take into consideration appraised valuation of each town. And that is going to skew the money to something awful. Mm-hmm. Atkinson and Plasta will go outside.
Go ahead.
Guys.
Mike, go ahead.
Yeah. This is just one place. They're doing this in Hollis Brookline, too. The Brookline folks have a lower assessment rate, and they're trying to get the Hollis folks to pay for a greater share of the school district, not per pupil, but per assessed rate value. So this looks like it's a broad brush attempt by the school boards to rob the rich.
Right.
The problem is that the people are totally fed up with the way this is being done. Mm-hmm. Because in Timberlane, specifically with new superintendent, which happened to have been hired, his former job was principal in Quincy, Massachusetts. Okay, he was promoted to superintendent in SAU 55, which is Timberlane and Hampstead. He got here, and after 2 years, he became a king because he got very angry that at the very last March, which was his first true test as a superintendent, every article failed, both in Hampstead and Timberlane, and they were reduced to default budget. Boy, he got his hackles up. Oh, my God. And he's just being vindictive toward the taxpayers like you would not believe.
I actually just wrote a post for Watchdog Arena, which is run by Franklin Center. And it covers some of that. I've been parsing through Donna Green's blog, and of course we just had the guy in Atkinson who had the police called on him by the Earl of Metzler, and there's lots of examples of this. So yeah, I don't want to get too far off because I know we've talked about that, but so budget season is upon us. For those of you who are not familiar, New England town meeting season comes in usually March, April, May, that time. A lot of towns have them the same days, but they all get together in a room and act like it's democracy, and sometimes
which is mob rule.
Mob rule, but
I would like to interject one final statement.
Yep, real quick. Go ahead. You got about a minute and a half.
Okay. Another figure that is branded about by the superintendent and the school board, and that people don't have the foggiest idea as to what they are talking about, is class size versus student-to-teacher ratio. Mm-hmm. Class size is an arbitrary number mandated by the state and their 306 minimum standards. That says that basically that if you are in kindergarten through grade 2, the classes shouldn't be more than 16 to 1. If you are up to grade 5, no more than than 20 to 1. And if you're in thereafter to high school, no more than 30 to 1. That's an arbitrary number. The school board can adjust it any way it wants. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really a measure of class sizes. And that only applies in the case of middle school and up to what is called homeroom time, which is when they are all together in the same room for attendance.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it varies all over the place. Student-to-teacher ratio, on the other hand, is based on the number that has to be reported by each district to the Department of Education as to how many students they have, how many full-time equivalent teachers they have. And then that full-time equivalent teachers number divided into the total student population gives you the student-to-teacher ratio. Mm-hmm. That's a better measurement of how many people, how many teachers you have handling your students. And whereas the class size could be 30 to 1, you look at the student-to-teacher ratio in the website, and they average about 10.2 to 1 throughout the state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's a much better measurement.
Yeah. The other question I started asking the last few years I was on my budget committee was, what is your indirect to direct labor ratio? And it was like deer in headlights. And only after I asked that for 2 years did we start to see administration being cut, because they finally realized we're now all looking at that ratio, and that's how you get rid of the high-priced staff that, there's a role, but not the most important role, which is teachers in front of kids.
All right, Jorge, we got to let you go. Thank you so much for calling in, and we look forward to the next segment next month.
Okay, take care, guys. Thanks.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, Jorge Mesa-Tejada. This is Grok Talk. We'll be right back with Greg Klein from redmaryland.com. Hang on, Mike's still on the phone someplace, and we'll be right back after a short break.
Grok Talk.